Trump is done playing games. As of today, President Donald J. Trump has officially declared a nationwide ICE emergency. And what they just uncovered in Texas will send chills down your spine. We're talking about 1,361 violent criminal illegals rounded up in Houston, including an actual airplane hijacker hiding in plain sight. Let that sink in. A hijacker right here in America, protected by sanctuary policies that almost let him slip away. But Trump had enough. He is now cutting California off. He's banning flights that send these criminals back to soft on crime states that refuse to hold them, because if they get released again, somebody innocent could end up paying the price with their life. And it gets even worse. In Los Angeles, ICE raids were sabotaged by activists. Spike strips were planted under federal vehicles, and criminal operations escaped into the streets. Guys, meanwhile, in California's cannabis farms, children were discovered working off cartel debts, forced into labor, trafficked, trapped. You're not going to believe how deep this goes, guys. And so where's the outrage from the left? It's nowhere. In fact, Governor Gavin Newsom was way too busy attacking JD Vance's Disney trip while ignoring exploited kids in his own state of California. Yeah. Anybody voting for Gavin Newsom this year or during the next election? Anyway, folks, what you're about to see here is not just a border crisis. It is a national betrayal. And President Trump is the only one treating it like the emergency that it truly is. So stick with me, guys, because in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how California's catch and release policies created this massive revolving door of fugitives, the shocking story of the hijacker ICE caught, why Biden-era judges are letting traffickers walk free, and how Trump's ICE strategy is finally flipping the tables on sanctuary cities. This is not just enforcement, guys. This is a rescue mission, and it is far from over. Oh, and if you appreciate the daily news updates, hit the like button and subscribe. All right, so President Donald J. Trump back in command, and as of today, Trump made something crystal clear to every American watching. This is not just another policy tweak. This is a full-blown ICE emergency declared to protect our families, our borders, and our future. Now, if you're wondering whether this is political, well, I want to go ahead and stop you right there. Because when ICE agents found an airplane hijacker hiding among more than 1,300 illegal alien criminals in Texas, the question stopped being political. It became personal. Are we deporting criminals or are we protecting them, right? So this is the question Trump's administration is forcing the nation to answer right now. And the answer may shock you. Okay, so over the course of just 1 week, ICE launched one of the largest, most coordinated operations in recent history. And what they uncovered is the stuff of nightmares. 1,361 arrests. Every single one was tied to violent crime offenses. And get this, guys, an actual airplane hijacker was among them. So this is not a metaphor. This is not exaggeration. This is real. This wasn't just some border crosser with some expired paperwork. We're talking about cartel members, fugitives, wanted for assault, and human traffickers embedded right in our cities. And one man who tried to take over an aircraft in midair. So here's the kicker. If Trump hadn't issued this ICE emergency, many of these criminals would be, maybe handed right back to the sanctuary cities like Los Angeles and California or San Francisco and just walked right out the door with a slap on the wrist. Now, I want to ask you this, guys. If you found out somebody on your flight, or let's just say you're flying, to go see family or go on a vacation. Let's just say if you were to find out that someone on your flight was a deportation protected hijacker, would you still believe these sanctuary policies are about compassion? Because I don't know about you guys, but compassion doesn't look like putting 300 strangers in a metal tube with someone who once tried to take the cockpit by force. You know what I'm saying here? And so this is where the emotional fault line really starts to crack. Because despite everything we told you, there are still people out there that are defending this guy. Not because of what he did, but because of what category he falls under. Now, some say deporting a hijacker is racist. Others are saying it's cruel. But let me ask you something that no activist wants to answer. If that hijacker was on your family's flight, would you want him protected or would you want him gone? So this is the question separating common sense from complete insanity right now here in America. Now, this is where the media fails you. This is where city officials are betraying you. This is where so many so-called leaders, they care more about ideology than actual lives. Because when deportation becomes controversial and a hijacker becomes a victim, you know we have entered a dangerous chapter in our country. Oh, and just wait until I show you what President Trump did next. Because when California tried to take these criminals back under the banner of sanctuary, Trump said no more. And what followed was a total lockdown on flights, funding, and ICE coordination in the largest sanctuary state ever. So you're going to want to hear what happened next, because this wasn't just about courtrooms and cases. It exposed the criminal underworld that's hiding in MacArthur Park, the children trapped in the cartel labor on U.S. soil, and of course, the politicians mocking ICE agents while siding with the gang members. Now, Julie from Kansas, she unfortunately trusted the wrong person. A local broker got her locked into a Medicare plan that charged her more just to see her doctor. She was furious, and she had every right to be. So she ended up calling Hijacker. She told them everything, all the details. They reviewed it line by line, and within just days, she had her new plan. Her annual cost dropped by $400, but more than just that. She said, "I felt like someone finally took my side." Guys, this is what Chapter does. This is why I've partnered with them, because too many good people are being taken advantage of. So don't be one of them. Give our friends a Chapter call right now. Phone number is down below, 909-563-8279. Or better yet, visit them on the website. In the pinned comment, I left a link for you, askchapter.org/Ron, and let Chapter be your second set of eyes. So President Trump didn't just declare an ICE emergency. He actually made a strategic move that left sanctuary officials scrambling. Effective immediately, no more ICE flights will return criminal aliens to California. Why? Because California refuses to prosecute, because their judges downgrade charges to keep criminals out of jail, and because activists inside these cities are actively tipping off suspects. They're leaking ICE operation details before agents even get there. So think about what this means. A fugitive ICE just arrested for armed assault can be sent back to California, walk into a courtroom, and be back on the street by sundown. No ankle monitor, no detention, nothing. And now imagine that fugitive was a hijacker. Would you trust LA County to keep him locked up? See, this is why Trump cut them off. He said, no more handcuffs, no more handoffs to states with who protect these criminals. And it's not just about paperwork. This is life or death, guys. If a hijacker gets sent back to LA and walks free the next day, who's responsible if somebody dies, right? So this decision by President Trump was not a stunt. It was a firewall, stopping violent criminals from being recycled by a broken system that no longer even pretends to defend the public. And why Governor Gavin Newsom of California and city leaders threw an absolute fit on the cameras. ICE agents were already rolling into MacArthur Park, and that's where things exploded. Now, don't let the truth get buried, guys. My free breaking news note hits your inbox first. Join our free breaking news newsletter down below. Link is down there in the description and in the pinned comment. So, let's talk about MacArthur Park, Los Angeles. Now, I know at first glance, it looks like a normal city park, but if you dig a little bit deeper, it is anything but that. ICE intelligence teams have confirmed this location is a major staging ground for fake green cards, fraudulent social security numbers, human smuggling operators, and yes, illegal weapons transactions. Now, this is not conspiracy. This is confirmed. So when ICE agents rolled in to make arrests, do you know what happened? The operation was leaked. Activists posted the raid on social media. Criminal suspects scattered before ICE even arrived. And then, to make it that much worse, the mayor showed up, blasted ICE in front of cameras, claiming some sort of moral victory. What in the world is wrong with LA Mayor Karen Bass, guys? I want to ask you something. When someone leaks an operation and lets traffickers, smugglers, and gang members escape, is that activism or is that aiding and abetting? Because that particular park, that wasn't a picnic for families. This was a black market hub, a cartel outpost, a revolving door for fake documentation, and a known risk zone for violent actors operating within U.S. borders. And yet, after all that, somehow ICE is the villain. I know. Think about that. Go figure. Yeah. But it gets even darker than that, because what ICE uncovered wasn't just criminal activity. It was children trafficked into labor camps, working off these cartel debts and stuck in marijuana farms right here in America. These kids were not even criminals. They were slaves in our own backyard. And while President Trump's team was trying to rescue them, the activists, the governors, the press, They blocked the very people who were trying to save those children. Can you believe this, guys? Now, of course, I want you to hang out with me for a second because I need to expose the whole child labor pipeline that's going on inside the U.S. borders and the big, massive war that President Trump is now waging to end this thing. So I want to talk about something that really should outrage every single American, regardless of politics. ICE found children, I know, actual kids, working off these cartel debts inside illegal marijuana farms right here in the United States. Now, I'm not talking about one or two. Guys, we're talking about at least 10 unaccompanied minors caught up in a cartel-run labor ring in California, exploited, trafficked, and trapped in environments that are more dangerous than most Americans will ever experience. Now, here's the real heartbreaking part. These kids weren't even working off their own debts. They were paying off somebody else's smuggling fee, a sibling, a parent, or a complete stranger who used their identity to cross the border. They couldn't run. They couldn't say no. And if they tried, they were recaptured and forced back into labor. And who knows what else might have happened. Now, you tell me, is this the humane immigration system that Democrats keep promising? Or is this modern day slavery being ignored because it doesn't fit the narrative? Now, here's where President Trump's administration really steps in. Behind the scenes, teams from ICE, DHS, and HHS are now working hand in hand to find these children and rescue them from cartel hands. This is not a deportation squad. This is a child rescue task force operating in places where, state officials turned a blind eye. So why are activists defending the criminals running these operations instead of helping the kids that are trapped inside of them, right? This is the question every journalist should be asking, but they won't. Because to do that, then they have to admit Trump's team is doing the right thing. And, heaven forbid they ever do that, right? So now I want to zoom out and I want to look at the bigger threat here. While ICE is out there arresting hijackers, rescuing kids, and shutting down smuggling rings, guess who is trying to stop them? Not the cartel leaders, not foreign governments, U.S. citizens, elected officials, activists armed with spike strips and smartphones. Yeah. So in Los Angeles, ICE agents had their vehicles booby-trapped with these homemade spike strips. One agent was even assaulted during an arrest in Van Nuys. But that was not even the worst part. Members of Congress are now cheering it on. Ilhan Omar calls ICE terrorists. Pramila Jayapal says blocking federal law enforcement is inspiring. Wow. Dan Goldman, he compared ICE to the Gestapo. Are you kidding me? Now, if you defend a hijacker but attack the federal agent arresting him, whose side are you really on? Because ICE isn't just fighting gangs and fugitives now. They're fighting a political class that's declared war on enforcement itself. So, guys, this is the lawlessness that we've been talking about. It's disguised as progress, and it's turning American cities into criminal playgrounds where traffickers are protected and the law-abiding citizens, they're being left behind. And so you want to talk about the most disturbing part? The more ICE succeeds, the more violent the resistance becomes. Governor Gavin Newsom versus JD Vance, guys. Oh, man. So while these ICE agents were dodging these spike strips and rescuing trafficked children in California, California's own Governor Gavin Newsom was busy mocking Vice President JD Vance. Now, what was the offense? Taking his kids to Disney World. Yes. So while children were being forced to work in drug farms by cartel handlers in Gavin Newsom's backyard, the governor decided to publicly shame a father for spending time with his own family. And he posted, and I quote, "Hope you enjoyed your vacation, JD. The families you're tearing apart certainly didn't." Let that sink in, guys. A governor whose state was just exposed for hosting child labor camps and cartel operations is scolding a father for protecting his own kids. Guys, that ain't leadership. That's distraction, it's deflection, and it's disgusting hypocrisy. Which, let me ask you this first. Which leader do you trust more? The one that's spending more time with his family, or the one spending time defending criminals while mocking other parents? Because the more you look at it, the more obvious it becomes. Gavin Newsom wants to protect his own image, get a little bit more grease in that slick back hair. He doesn't want to protect your family. JD Vance, he wants to protect his children and yours too. So one's taking cheap shots and the other one's taking action. Now, if you've stuck with me this far, here comes one of the most infuriating parts of the whole story. Criminals, real criminals, are being released by judges within hours of arrest. Just take the case of a group of Venezuelan gang members, okay? ICE tracked them to a squatter apartment. They were carrying these unlicensed weapons, intimidating residents, and operating right under the radar. They were arrested, they went before a judge, and then what happened? They were released immediately. And they went right back to the scene of the crime. Same apartment, same behavior, same threat. Or how about the Salvadorian national? Wanted for auto theft. Instead of trusting LA prosecutors, Trump's ICE team said, we're not taking that risk. He was deported on the spot. Because here's the truth that the media refuses to say out loud. In sanctuary cities, justice is a revolving door. You can get arrested, you can be caught red-handed, and by dinner time, you're back on the street with zero accountability. And if that same criminal came back to your neighborhood tomorrow, would you feel safe? I don't think so. Because this isn't theory, guys. This is what's already happening in Houston, Los Angeles, in New York City, and it's only going to get worse. And so now, we've pretty much reached the final urgent message of this video, because if everything you've heard so far made your blood boil, then good. It should. But here's the thing. What you should really know next is even more important. President Trump's ICE emergency, this is only phase one. So we need to talk about this new legal action against sanctuary states that obstruct federal enforcement. More raids and direct deportations are coming across major U.S. cities, and the push for mandatory deportation laws for criminal aliens. No more loopholes, no more activist judges, and no more chances, guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, everything we covered today, okay? From the airplane hijacker, ICE arrest in Houston, to the child labor camps in California, to the activists sabotaging federal agents, to the judges releasing gang members back onto our streets, it all points back to one brutal truth. This is no longer just an immigration issue. This is a national security. This is law and order. This is survival. And President Trump knows that. That is why this ICE emergency is only phase one. So let's talk about what's coming next. More large-scale arrests and raids, not just in Texas, but in California, Chicago, New York, and anywhere sanctuary policies put Americans in danger. Legal action, all right? Legal action will be taken against states and city officials who deliberately obstruct federal operations. This includes leaking ICE plans, hiding fugitives, and interfering with arrests. And more importantly, Trump is now pushing for mandatory deportation laws for any non-citizen with a violent criminal record. So no more catch and release, no more activist judges setting criminals free, no more sanctuary cities acting as shields for these traffickers and gang leaders and terrorists. Because let's be honest, guys, when an airplane hijacker is caught and the media's first instinct is to ask if deporting him is a little bit too harsh, I think they've lost the script. So I'm gonna leave you with one final question, and I want you to leave me with a final answer, okay? Now that you know that a hijacker was among them, do you still support sanctuary cities? Let the country decide down below, because the line has been drawn, and on one side stands President Trump, ICE, and the law-abiding citizens of this nation. But on the other side are the politicians who defend criminals, the activists who sabotage justice, and the judges who just let danger walk free. So what side are you on, guys? Now, if you support Trump's ICE emergency, drop a fire emoji in the comments right now. If you think sanctuary cities are out of control, tag a friend who needs to see this. And if you want more updates like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video before they try to silence the truth again. Because next time, it might not be a hijacker. It might actually be someone worse. This is only the beginning. I'll see you guys on the next one.